Hi everyone, in this video and next few videos I try to cover the new features of Parrot 3D 2.8 and the surface controller. And for that, let's make a parametric array. We'll start with a single box and I create a one-dimensional array. And for the transform, choose the surface controller from the library. And then we try to pick the object. If you notice, I can't actually pick this surface here, and the reason is that this object has been made of a spline with a cross section on top and a surface modifier on top, and it basically generates an editable patch object. And to be able to use this object in surface controller, we either have to set a UVW mapping, or we have to set an editable poly modifier on top, so Parrot 3D can extract the information from the geometry. So now I can actually pick the object, and here we go, the name of object appears here. And as you may notice, now I have different options than what I used to have in older version. And the first thing that we need to explain here is the surface domain option, that you can choose between one-dimensional domain and two-dimensional domain. So what does it mean? When the surface controller in one-dimensional domain, that means it goes through the geometry of the editable poly. So that means the object has to be an editable poly object. Based on the dimension of your array, which you have selected here, it goes through the sub-objects, which again you specify here, and then it extract the information which you set in output section. So for example, in this case, if I update this array, I'll get these boxes around here. And to explain that, I think it's a good idea if we label our objects, so we know which object is coming first. Let's label them by location in the array. Let's see. Well, this is the first object, second, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And if I increase the number of the objects, well, and what happens actually is that since we have chosen face option, Parrot 3D goes to each face of the editable poly. For example, this, if I choose it, here you can see that this is the polygon 1 selected, which means the face number 1, and the object number 2 sits on face number 2, and so on. Now let's try the edge and see what happens. Here I go to the edges, and if I select this edge, which the object number 8 is sitting on it, it says the edge 8 selected. So surface controller, it goes through all the items in your array, and based on the index of that item, it picks the particular edge with the same number or same index, and then it extracts the information for which you're setting in output. And the same here for the vertex. I'm just going to update that, and you can see the number, this is object number 27, and it's sitting on vertex number 27. That's what actually the surface controller does when you set it in one dimensional domain. Well, let's change to two-dimensional domain, and then you see that all the options here now they change to 2D domain options, and you got the spacing options, which is new. But the important thing here is that the 2D domain may not work necessarily with the all type of polygons. And basically the surfaces, they are actually a deformed grid. They can be used as a two-dimensional domain, but the only condition for the one-dimensional domain is that the editable poly object has to have quad or rectangular polygons. I'm going to add some items into the second dimensions. Let's say I have 10 objects, for example. We use the second dimension, which is going to divide the surface in the v direction into 10 divisions. Once you update that, you get this kind of arrangement. Is a grid that deforms on the surface, or basically the surface has been subdivided to smaller patches according to the number of items in your array. And it's good to know that NURB surfaces without any modifier on top, they can be only used as a two-dimensional domain. Well, this was a short introduction to surface controller and surface domain, and we will see more details for each mode in next video tutorials. Thanks for watching.